Hey, this is Keppy with Keppy Games, and I'm just coming at you with the first in a series of videos about the world of Aeros. This will be covering the lore, factions, creatures, magic, everything about the world and land of Aeros. So whether you're new to the series, if you've never encountered one of my board games or played in one of my role-playing sessions in that world, this is a great introduction, a great way to kind of get to understand what's going on. And even for the veterans in this world, this is kind of a good background and backdrop for what's going on in your various games, whether they be one of the board card games or role-playing sessions. So first I'm going to get started with this video, and this video is going to cover the Ether and what that is, what it does, and how it connects to magic in Aeros. So what is the Ether? Well, the Ether is a dimension made up entirely of two things within its space. It is made up of energy and intelligences, and the Ether is infinite. There is no end to the Ether. There is no beginning. It is simply full of both energy and intelligences. So energy is simply the life force that fuels these intelligences, which are beings. They are and have the ability to grow in intelligence, to gain more understanding, to grow more powerful with their energy within the realm of the Ether. And it's an eternal growth and progression for these intelligences. These intelligences are constantly taking in the energy around them and eternally growing in their intelligence. Now, as they devour energy around them, they can also, as they interact with other intelligences, devour the energy that those intelligences themselves possess. So what will end up happening is you have this essentially evolutionary progression of survival of the fittest, where a more powerful intelligence will happily pull the energy out of a lesser intelligence, reducing that separate intelligence's experience and energy and memory back down to basically zero, to the most base form of intelligence, and then leaving it to carry on its way. These intelligences cannot in fact die. However, they can, like I said, be reduced to just the barest minimum amount of intelligence. So these creatures, these intelligences, can grow pretty massive and pretty powerful and pretty intelligent within the sphere of the Ether. However, they have no physical form or power or ability to interact with the physical plane, the physical realms around them. The Ether is kind of an in-between place, and without outside influence, it can not in any way affect what goes on outside of the Ether. And because of this, all of these creatures within the Ether, their main desire, their main goal is power over the physical, or the ability to gain physical shape. The ideal and the desire, as they grow more intelligent and reach the limits of what they can do within the Ether, their goal and desire is to gain physical form or have power in the physical realm. Not necessarily both. Some of them are more keen to work from the Ether and just have physical power, or power in the physical realm, and are happy to stay in the Ether and be top dog there. And then others desire nothing more than to get out of the Ether and walk among the physical inhabitants. So this currency that allows them to do that, the power that allows them to affect things physically, is known as mana. So what is mana? Mana is the ethereal energy processed by a physical being. So whether that be a human, a goblin, an elf, it doesn't matter. Any physical race that has learned to siphon energy from the Ether into the physical realm is producing mana, which is essentially ethereal energy made manifest in the physical world. The earliest inhabitants of Aeros learned to cipher this Ether into Aeros and into their bodies themselves, and over time, most of the sentient, well, all of the sentient life in Aeros is essentially over time producing at least a small amount of mana within their own systems. Now, not every race or individual within a race has the ability to call upon it, simply because their levels of mana inside themselves are so low that it doesn't manifest physically to a degree that they could do anything with it. However, this is what allows physical beings to use magic, is they're using this energy from the ether to affect the physical world. However, this mana can allow intelligences to have power over both the physical and ethereal realms. The basic idea or rule of thumb is that mana is much more powerful than just the raw ethereal energy. And so these creatures of the ether, these intelligences, they desire this mana because, one, it allows them to have supreme power within the ether, as it is far more powerful than just the basic energy around them, and it allows them to affect things in the physical world, which is of their highest interest and desire. So these ethereal creatures gain mana in a couple of ways. One, it's either given to them by a physical being. So, say some human that has mana in their own system is able to give their mana to an ethereal being. There are various methods and ways to do that, and I'll go over those in a different video. However, that is a possibility, and that is largely the way that they gain their energy. Another way that they can gain mana is through rifts. Rifts are tears between reality and the ether that, while they are open, they will slowly bleed mana through into the ether and slowly bleed ethereal energy out into the physical plane. These are kind of weak points in the barrier between the ether and the physical realms. Many of the most powerful ethereal beings that have been given a great deal of mana are worshipped as gods and function pretty much that way. Humans or whatever race will give them energy, give them mana, and in return, these beings, to continue the flow of mana, to continue to have people want to give them mana, they will do favors for these mortals. They will do things for them in the physical world, such as cure ailments, give them strength in battle, things like that, things to inspire others to give them more mana. One important thing worth mentioning is the difference between gods and demons. The definition of a demon is an ethereal being that wants to gain physical shape. Someone that wants to enter the physical realm and have power there. Now, there's varying degrees on what that might mean. Some simply just want to exist in the physical realm for the sake of existing there. Some have nefarious purposes, like Arkham is a great example. Arkham is a being that wants to come into the physical realm and conquer it and have all of the mana to himself. He's very ambitious in that way, and he's made no secret of it, which in turn makes a lot of the other ethereal beings not like him so much. A god, on the other hand, is a being that is 100% okay with simply living out their life in the ether, what they've known, what they understand, what they have control over, and then gaining mana to continue to be at the top of the line there. Essentially, they're less ambitious. However, they are not without potency. By no means are they. And these are the beings that, for the most part, are worshipped and prayed to, unless they're part of some cult that wants Arkham to show up because of what he's promised. But gods are by far the most common type, at least common type of real powerful being. There are a lot of lesser demons, but that there's a direct cause and effect and reason that people worship the gods, and why the gods want to give favors and miracles to the physical inhabitants of the physical realms. In the ether, names are incredibly important. Even though there's an infinite number of these ethereal beings, each one of them has what is called a true name, a identification, their word within the ethereal language that gives you control and power over that being and all the energy that that being wields. And that is important for various types of magic users and for some of the story that you'll come across in the Aeros lore. Alright, so you have the physical world and you have the ether. There's actually a third plane which is known as the void, which is a barrier between the physical and ethereal planes. This void is infinite, it has no end, but it is empty. There's nothing that naturally inhabits it. Sometimes things from the ether find themselves trapped in the void, or from the physical plane trapped in the void. The void is used for a few different things throughout the history of my various roleplay sessions / lores and things like that. It has in fact been used multiple times as a prison for various beings, creatures, races, whatever. So that's just a little tad note on the side. The void is separate from the ether. So once again, ether, void, the physical realm. That just about covers it for the ether. There's a lot more that touches on the ether and how people affect it and what people do with it. But this is a good solid base for helping you understand where it comes from, where all these abilities are based in. And as a last note, I did want to mention there is a language of the ether which allows these intelligences to command the ethereal energy around them, and mortals that learn it are in fact known as casters, but I'll do different magic types as their own video. But it's just important to note that there is a language that controls those energies, and that does come up quite frequently in campaigns or board games, things like that. Just the lore of Aeros and what it does. And that's just about it. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know if you have anything you needed cleared up. I am going to be posting these semi-regularly is the hope. I do live a busy life, oftentimes working 60-hour weeks, but I did want to get this started and get this going because it's been a project I've wanted to work on for a while. And it also helps me organize everything and keep it in order. And it also gives me a way to just point people to the lore if they have any questions that I can't immediately answer. So let me know what you think. Leave a comment, leave a like, and I'll see you all later. Bye.